Good morning, everyone. Welcome to yoga. Welcome to Friday. Let's start with some circles with the hips. Inhaling as the hips come forward, exhaling around and back. We've got this morning light in our space, if we're lucky. And just inhaling as the hips come forward, exhaling around and back. I just talked to a friend in Colorado, and she went on a walk before our talk. So she must have gone on a walk around 7:30 or 8 in the morning to get that morning light. It's supposed to be good for our circadian rhythm, which helps us sleep. So getting light in the early part of the day can be a really nice option, because it helps our brains turn on in the day and our energy level. Still inhale as the hips come forward, exhaling around and back, around and back. Good. And just feeling how we might, if we have that circadian rhythm, you started in the morning, and then in the evening, you're actually sleepy enough to head to bed at a certain hour of reasonableness, whatever that is for you. I'm going to adjust the camera one moment. Good. Nice. And then we're going to switch directions with the hips. I just have my feet balanced comfortably under my hips or a little wider. Inhaling and exhaling with the hips going around. Nice, delicious circles. Good. Good. I have a fantasy of getting into bed at 9 with a book. That's my new goal. I think last night that didn't happen by any long stretch, but it's a nice thing to consider. Winding down. So yes, my friend in Colorado had a nice walk already this morning, which is inspiring. Inhaling forward. And then we speak to each other in the mornings now early before things start. So we found that that's a nice way to find each other without having to see if anyone's home, unless they're on a walk. Anyway, we were speaking on Saturdays early in the morning too. So it's fun to think of how can we integrate our friendships, because we can spend a fair bit of time saying, well, maybe I'll get to that later, or we'll talk some other time. And then, weeks and months pile up. So finding those sneaky ways to say hello so that your day feels brighter, and hopefully theirs does too. Good. So letting the hips cycle back to center. Good. And then we're going to take the shoulders up and around and down. Inhaling up. Exhaling around and down. I'm so glad to be here this morning. I'm so excited that my modem's working again. It was nice using Wi-Fi at the pool, but I missed you all, and it's really good to get it back on track. Inhale and exhale. And then inhaling, shoulders come up and down and around the other direction. I read somewhere that it's can be useful to the evening before you could write down 5 or 6 things in order of relative priority if you've got the gumption. And then you'll have your list the next day, and you just tick those things off, and it can be a helpful item, which worked really well for me until I lost the list. I love though hearing different options, to feel that. And I also had someone say to me once, she said, if I get one thing done in a day, I feel complete. So that kind of taking it down a level can be a gentle way to treat yourself too. Inhaling up. Exhale around and forward or back, whichever way you're going. Inhaling and matching the breath with the movement is our meditation. It's giving our mind a job so it can, on some level, relax. My friend will change to the head in one moment. Let's take the shoulders down, stay nice and low and relaxed on an exhale. And then we inhale and exhale. We have that lovely exhale to come around and forward with the head. And up, straight up with the head to keep the neck nice and long in the back. So chin curls forward as if you're sort of tracing a necklace on your chest, but then when the head comes up, it just comes straight up in a sort of rainbow from shoulder to shoulder. Good. Or something in that neighborhood. My chin comes down at slightly more of an angle than the rainbow, but you play with what works for imagery. Good, inhaling up. Exhaling down and around. I was going to tell you something else about Colorado. What was it? It'll come to me later. Good. And then changing directions. Inhaling still as the head comes up. Exhale around and down. So thanks for joining. We're going to have class at the Center for Community Arts at 9 a.m. on Fridays. So keep your eyes peeled for signups for the fall season. The autumn is coming up, and it will start on September 17th, which is a Friday, 9 a.m. In the meantime, we'll do this and meet each other because it's so nice. Good, and then we'll choose an inhale to come up and stay up. Good. Very nice. Let's draw the shoulders up because it's good for our immunity. We just play with this one. Draw the shoulders up and squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Isn't it nice that we can think about our weekend now soon coming up? And then exhaling and down come the shoulders nice and slow. As if you're letting water out of a fish tank, and that level just eases slowly down, if you've ever seen that. Yeah, good. So we come up with the shoulders one more time. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And then when they get a little achy, you can kind of be there as long as it feels interesting, but not too much. And then when it feels a little achy, you just let it slowly come down. Yes. So this is from the Asian tradition. It's supposed to be helpful for our immunity. And they used to, they've used these things when there weren't as many doctors around. You just do these kinds of things daily. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And people found that it was helpful somehow. And that oral tradition just kept this going. And here we are still passing it along with the oral tradition. There's not a lot of writing down all the details. It's passed from word of mouth, which is sort of cool. And then when the shoulders get achy, you let it out on a whole audible sigh all at once. Drop it like a bag of laundry. Anything that's worrying you or thinking of what needs doing, you just let it go. Let the to-do list, speaking of to-do list, let it float down the river. Watch it go. It'll be there later if, when you need it. You can let it go for now. I get this wonderful image of it sort of hopping over some little rapids in the river and just down, down, down the distance. Let it go. I had a yoga teacher in Tahoe tell us that once. Things we pick up and the things that stick are sort of fun to pass along. Good. So now I'm just taking my my awareness inward. We can take a moment for pratyahara. So I'm just going to take my senses inward and just notice how I've felt today, how I've been thinking, without any judgment, just noticing what is. Good. And then when you're ready, we can take our, let's take our letter L. So I'm going to take hands to the tops of my thighs. Inhale there, exhale, you glide the hands down the thighs to wherever you land. Spine is long and we breathe into our long spine and the space between the vertebrae. Letting the hands either be on the shin bones or above the knees. To protect that knee joint, we put our pressure of our hands somewhere else besides the knee. Good. And then I bend the knees. They were already a little bent, and I just push up from the earth and come up to standing again. Nice way to get into the lower back. Inhale, we'll take it again. Exhaling, come down. Nice and slow. Maybe one of our first forward bends of the morning, so letting us just gently get in. It's like dipping a toe in the water instead of jumping in right away, which can be a nice thing to do to check the temperature, check the surf report of the water, so to speak. Good. And then pressing feet into the earth, I rise back up to standing. And then opening the hands, opening the heart, standing in Tadasana, feet hips distance apart, balanced under the hips. Good. And noticing how your shoulders are balanced over the hips, ears balanced over the shoulders. Is the chin tucked or is it kind of jutting forward? Noticing if you bring the ears toward the shoulders, how that can feel more spacious in the neck. Good. And then inhaling, exhaling, sending your tree roots down deep into the earth. Down your legs, through your feet into the loamy soil, nourishing earth. Yeah, good. Inhaling up. Come the first. Let's inhale one more time. Let's back up one moment. And then exhaling, send your roots down even deeper. We're establishing our roots first. Candace mentioned that, and I love it. So we exhale our roots down deeper. Inhaling one more time. And exhaling, nice, broad, deep roots. Growing them into the steady earth. Good. And then inhaling from your roots, up your feet, your legs, all the way up your torso, all the way up to your heart. Good. And then exhaling, letting that earth energy permeate every cell of your body. Yes, good. And inhaling up through your roots, up your legs, your hips, all the way up to your heart. And this time, exhaling any aches, pains, worries, concerns down your roots deep into the earth. let it go. And then really let it go. Good. Good, and then let's take it again. Inhale through the roots, the calf muscles, the thighs, all the way up your hips and torso, all the way up to your heart. And then exhaling, that warm earth energy permeates every cell of your body. And then that energy expands about 1.5 feet all the way around your body, like an orb or an egg. So it's around your back, around your, not just the front, but under the feet, around your back, above your head, your space. Basking in that for a couple rounds of breath. Good, and then as you're ready, gently opening the eyes. Yes, and then we'll take a gentle tassel twist, meaning that our arms, let them be heavy, let them tap your body as they come around. With just this rocking sort of twist that you might see kids do on a playground. My teacher would say it's hard to be too anxious when you're doing this. And it introduces a little twist into the body. Good. And then, like let it be small at first, and then it lets your body warm and loosen, and then it can expand a little further, maybe. If not, that's fine too. Good, and then we let the arms and the body rock you to a stop. Good. And then I'm going to take an inhale, let the hands float up to your sides. And we can clasp the hands and turn the palms up to the sky and arch to the side gently. And take yawn asana, yawn and stretch like you just woke up, which some of you may have. And then inhale up to center. And exhale, yawn and stretch the other side. Good. Nice. And then exhale, the hands come down. And we can I have a belly dance teacher. So this is not from yoga, but I have a belly dance teacher who has us they're like, have a lovely tantrum for just a minute. You can sort of wiggle it out. It can be gentle. You can squiggle around. Good. We don't do enough squiggling, I think. Good, and then you let that go. Let's swing the arms. So I put one wrist on top, and then that's the inhale. And then I exhale, swish the arms back. And then I alternate which hand is on top. You can do your earth breath. In the nose, out the nose. Which is grounding and reassuring, steadying. Good, and then we can take the arms parallel. Good, and this time you could try the water breath. Inhale, hands forward. Exhale through the mouth. Swish the clouds back. Warming the shoulders. Good, and letting that relax. Let's take the feet a little wider than hips distance, like you're on a horse. You can bend the knees over the tracking toward the second toe of the foot. And the knees don't come further than halfway over your top of your foot. So keep that bend modest to protect the knees. And then what we're going to do is take palms to one side, and then you trace your fingertips across the inner arm, across the collarbone, and out to the side. Good. And then join, palms come to meet to the other side. And then you trace that hand over the inner arm, across the chest, and open. Nice, generous gesture of abundance here. Good, and steady on the legs and feet. Good. And then I have palms together, first side. Let the hand trace the front of your body and open. Good. And then one more time, second side, palms, trace. And offer your bounty, feel your bounty, your generosity in this gesture. Yoga is a lot about gesture. Even just waving hello is a powerful gesture. Good. And then hands come slowly down through the water, and I bring the feet, kind of heel toe them back to center. Good. And then let's take our 8 golden threads, and I'm going to see if I can adjust this just slightly so that you can see all of me. Good. So first, what we do with our golden threads is we rise the hands up to our sides, hands come up above the head and clasp, and let the palms reach toward the ceiling as you rise very slightly up onto the balls of the feet if you want. You can also just stand. Another option is to keep the feet nice and steady on the earth, whichever feels more interesting this morning. And the upper arms are close to the ears as you reach. This is holding up heaven. Good. And then the palms slowly come down to your sides. Beautiful. So this is stretching the 8 golden threads, or the 8 meridians of, this is from Taoism, and they still do this at monasteries in Asia. So inhaling up, we'll take it again, hands float up, clasp, palms to the ceiling, reach the bicep areas by your ears, your arms, reach. And you might notice when you're on the balls of your feet, you get to practice your balance. Yeah. And then exhale, coming down. I learned these exercises by practicing them a lot at home while watching baseball. There's a captive audience, a 3-hour stint, right? You can learn lots of yoga during baseball. So let's take, now I'm going to take upholding heaven and earth. That means I'm going to show you my back for a sec. Fingertips point toward the spine. And one palm presses up toward the ceiling, and the other palm presses up down toward the earth. Yeah, good. And then I micro bend the knees, let the hands, they trace the outside of a beach ball as you come toward the chest area, and then press the opposite hand to the earth and other hand to the sky. You can come up on the balls of your feet slightly. We're not all the way up in releve like dance. It's just a relaxed sort of, you could just fit a paper underneath your heels. It's pretty subtle. Yeah, good. And then let the hands brush the sides of your beach ball. Still summer. I'm not done with summer yet. Good. And then press the first side hand up to the sky, opposite hand down. Balls of the feet, you're up on those if you want. Yes. You might feel a stretch in areas you just don't usually stretch. Yeah. So in Asian traditions, this is a nice way to balance the energy of the body. Good. And then pressing second side. Good. I haven't done this in a long time. Thanks for joining me on this. So delicious. This time I'm going to take the first hand up to the sky, do the same thing with the hands, but this time one hand to the sky, one to the earth, palms pressing in opposite directions. And then I'm going to look up at the raised hand. And you might get a little different sensation or different stretch. Good. And then the hands pass each other in front of you. And make that really beautiful, that circle, as if you're holding a ball in front of you. And then we let ourselves look up at the other hand when we switch sides. Yes. I used to do this in the morning before studying for a pretty rigorous class, and I just felt less rushed, even though I was doing the same amount of work. There's something lovely about doing this series. So then this time, I'm going to take the gaze down over toward the shoulder and the down turned hand. Any amount. We're not trying to stretch any particular amount. Good. And then letting the hands come around through center and press and look down over that shoulder where the hand is toward the earth. Good. And then if you feel complete, you can let the hands come back to center and down. Yeah, notice how that feels for a sec. Good. I just feel like pausing there because it just felt nice. But this time I'm going to take the third one, and that means I come up slightly on the balls of the feet again, and the feet are balanced into the hips, and then I flex my wrist down by like this. This is the beautiful thing about using videos, we can see it. So we let the hands come down and relax, and then up on the toes slightly, flex at the wrist. So the palms are toward the earth. And again, inhale. And exhale. Good. And this one has a second variation if you want to try. This one you can do the way we just did it. You can also do it this way, which is to come up slightly on the balls of the feet, and you float the wrists up as if there were a gentle wave behind you that rises as the arms rise, and then you float the wrists down as you come down with the arms. So float the wrists up, lead with the wrists, just up to shoulder height, and then down the wrists, float down. You could do just this when you wake up in the morning and see how that feels. Or you could sneak it in for 30 seconds in the middle of the afternoon. See if we can pace ourselves through the day with something like this. I read something that said it's really good. It's nice to drink water slowly, sort of take a sip and hold it in your mouth for a second, then swallow it, so that it's almost like a gentle spring rain that you're giving your body. So still wrists are floating up and then down, instead of throwing a bucket of water over ourselves. So doing that nice. If you can hold the water in your mouth for a second, then swallow it, it kind of helps one realize how much we might be enjoying that kind of pace in other areas of our life. Just a little less of a push, a little less rush. See what that's like. Good. Floating the hands down, let that relax. Good. Now I'm going to take the hands, float the fingertips up the front of the spine. Inhale. And then exhaling, opening the arms, looking over one of your arms toward the fingertips. So this one helps the lung meridian. Yeah. And then we let the hands Float down, trace up the front of the body, open and look over the other shoulder toward the fingertips. Very nice. Take it one more time each side. In your own time, breath pace. Letting the fingertips come up the front of the spine, open and gaze over your fingertips again in this generous gesture. Good. And exhale, come the hands, come down. Fingertips up, open, and gaze to the second side. Isn't it lovely? And then palms come down to rest at your sides. Good. And let's take the feet out a little wider than hips distance again. And we have that slight horse stance. And I'm just going to take an inhale. And then I exhale, just lean to the side slightly. You can use your hand on your thigh for support. Yes, inhaling up, exhaling. Other side arch. Feeling that nice space in the intercostal muscles between the ribs. Yes, and then inhale. The chin comes down. Well, first we inhale, exhale, chin comes down toward the chest. Inhaling up comes the head, and exhale side to side with the head. Good, in taking it again, inhaling. Exhale, arch the body to the side, any amount. Pressing up, inhale, to center, exhale, the other side. Inhaling up, and exhaling, chin toward the chest, releasing. Oh, good. And inhale, head comes up. Exhale, side to side. We will take that one more time because it just feels great. If you're cooked, you can opt to do something else. Inhale, center. Exhale, side. Inhaling up. Exhale, other side. Inhale. And exhale, chin comes down. Inhale, the head rises. And exhale, it goes side to side. Yeah, good. And then we'll heel toe the feet toward each other again. Notice how you feel, take pause. I used to have like a keyboarding instructor. We used to call it typing, but now it's keyboarding, right? And he was so good at saying, all right, let's take a pause. So I think I got that from him. Good, and then let's take the feet out wide once more. Not too wide, just a little horse stance. And then I'm gonna take a bow and arrow and I draw the bow back. Inhale. Yeah, and then when you're ready, you let that just dissolve. Sometimes we do one that has an exuberant bah at the end. We could do that later or not, but this one, you just let it dissolve. Good. So I'm just going to draw my bow on the second side. Gaze with your intention over your outstretched fingertips. Yeah. And you let that dissolve. Come back to center with the arms. You might notice I sometimes raise my toes. If you can see that well on your screen, sometimes the balls of your feet pressing them into the floor can feel really grounding. So you don't have to do that, but if you notice if I'm doing it, that's why. Draw the bow on the first side, gaze over fingertips. Nice and steady. Good. And hands float down. Second side, draw your bow back. When I'm teaching, I can still picture the studio at the Civic Arts with the piano on one side, the clock on the other, and our nice spacious studio. Sometimes it's soothing to think of that as a nice place to be. Good. And then I let the arms drift down, come back to center and let it go. Good. And then we can walk the feet back to center. Under the hips, they balance, and you just can take a pause again. In yoga, sometimes we have a favorite place meditation, and sometimes yoga studios come to my mind as a favorite place because you get to let all your things go there and you can't answer the telephone, and it's a pretty nice place to be, so we can go there in our minds. Or somewhere else you love that you've been to for vacation, just taking a moment to take a little yoga vacation. Could be your grandma's house. It could be somewhere you went camping and saw the sun rise or something. Good. Yeah, and then gently opening the eyes if they were closed. So this one is called punching with angry eyes. Now, it doesn't have to be with anger. My teacher would say that anger is just a lot of energy. You could use it to clean your garage. Yeah. So think of it, you could do, this is called punching with angry eyes, but you could punch with joy too. It just could be an exuberance. So whichever you feel like, we're going to draw the energy up the front of us, inhaling. And then just when we reach that top of our breath, we say, ha, ha. And that ha sound is a release of the energy, right? So let's try it together, inhaling up. You make gentle fists and go, ha, ha. Yeah, and then we'll take it to the other side, draw the hands up, inhale, exhale, ha, ha. Yeah, let's take it up toward the sky, inhaling, ha, ha. Draw it down towards your front, in front of you, inhaling, draw the hands up, ha, ha. Good. Down toward the floor this time, inhale, ha, ha. And then my teacher would sometimes say, let's get the monsters in back up behind us, but for good measure, inhaling up the front of you with the palms of the hands, and then behind you, ha, ha. Good. And somehow that one, I come back from that one smiling for some reason. And I'm not sure why, but it does feel like a release. And one of my teachers had a friend who taught a special ed class. And when the kids would get into a physical fight or disagreement, she would take the kids aside and let them do that punching with angry eyes, in their separate corners, so to speak. And then they would dissipate the energy, and very often the kids would be able to go back to what they were playing and let it go. So it can be a really handy tool. And it also is something you can do even quietly at home. If you've got other housemates, you can go, ha, ha, do it in the bathroom or something. It can help. Good. So then let's take one more piece here, which is to inhale and exhale, let the chin come forward, and then the head drips forward, and then the upper body slowly coming down, hands fingertips toward the feet. You don't have to touch the toes, but you can bend the knees somewhat to drift down as far as your body feels like going today. You may like to bend the knees and massage the toes to connect. In that way, you connect the meridians, begin and end in the fingertips and the toes. And so when you massage the fingers over the toes, it is sort of like completing a circuit. So massaging there. Good, and then I'm going to rise up. Slowly let your blood pressure come back to equilibrium. And then taking a full, nice, easy breath. We go into a slight back bend after this. If you go straight into it after being with your head down, sometimes people get too lightheaded and balance is better if you take a nice, easy, full breath when you rise up and then do the back bend piece. So here, if you can see, I'm going to take hands to my hips with the thumbs toward the back, toward my sacrum. Yeah. And then I inhale and exhale there. And then I just can inhale and arch the upper back slightly, chest toward the ceiling. And it's really subtle. You may not even notice the shape particularly by looking on the outside, but you feel the lift in the chest. And then you release that and just come back to neutral. Let's take it one more time. Inhale, center, exhale, chin down toward the chest. Drip down, fingers can massage the toes. And then we rise up to a standing position. Take your nice, easy, full breath. And then placing hands on the hips, thumbs towards your spine. Inhale, arching the back, upper back up toward the ceiling slightly. Nice opening in the chest. Gaze toward the ceiling, but keep them, nevertheless, keeping the length in the back of the neck. Good. And then let yourself release that and come to center. And that's that. That's the 8 golden threads. So thank you for joining me with that. Let's take our flower buds. I'm going to take my fingertips and join them together. And then I just go up and down like this. Float the wrists up and down with the fingers and thumbs touching. This is our Tai Chi sort of flavored yoga day. What we just did is Qigong, however. It is not Tai Chi. It just has that flowing movement, and it's from the Asian tradition. Good, and then as if I'm playing the harp, I sort of sparkle my fingers over the imaginary strings of a harp. Sort of a beautiful movement. Good, and then I'm going to inhale. This time I'm going to take a little bit of a lunge, like a somewhat of a sideways lunge. Yeah. And so I have one foot pointing forward, the other one's at a slight angle behind me. And then what I'm going to do is draw energy up in front of me, like we did before. But this time I'm going to, it's called, what is this? It's pushing the tiger back into the cage. Yeah. So you inhale up your front and then press forward, tiger back in cage. Draw the hands up your body and then press forward. Good. That imagery is interesting. And then let's take the other side. So let the other side toes point out to your side. Slip the heel back of the back foot so it's at somewhat of a nice angle for your balance. And then I draw the hands up my front and tiger back in cage. Drawing it up Hands up your front. Press forward. Drawing the hands up and tiger back in cage. Good. And then we come back to the center. Let's come down to our squatting position. Take a moment to adjust your camera if you need to. Good. And then I'm just going to come back to our squatting position so that we can breathe nice, easy belly breaths. Palms to the earth, or whatever you can touch, or sit in a comfortable seat if that feels better today. They're all options. And then I do the dog pant through the nose. That's our Bhastrika breath. Good. And then just easy belly breaths, nourishing 80% breaths. We're not trying or striving too hard. We're just nourishing our body with our breath. Oxygen is just as powerful and helpful a nutrient as anything else for the systems of our body. Inhale and exhale. And then again, one more time, our Bhastrika breath. It's like a bellows breath. Dog pant through the nose. Good, let that go. Breathe into the belly again. Good, let's come to the floor. Let's take some rotations. So one leg is extended, the other one is, let's see, I want to make sure you can see me. One leg is extended, the other is the knee is bent. So I inhale here and exhale over the bent knee and around and forward. Inhaling still as we come up, exhaling around and down. Warming and loosening the low back. So we've done some items that take a little concentration, and now we do something familiar for the body, which is some rotations to erase the chalkboard. Take a moment. My friend in Colorado, her mom recently moved to a independent sort of senior community. And I guess for a full 6 months, she was doing just about every activity on the board. And she called, my friend called her mom and she said, "How are you doing?" And her mom said, "I'm doing great." She said, "I just figured out that I don't have to do everything." She said, "Today I'm going to spend some time in my house and listen to some classical music." So yeah, it took her 6 months to realize you don't have to do every single activity they offer at the place. And I think both were a source of joy, but she realized that rest is good too. So we're still inhaling as we come up and exhaling around and down. Good. And then let's draw the straight leg in, let the other one out. Inhale and exhale over the bent knee first. We have more stability in that area. And then our bent knee is almost like a kickstand for a bike there, so that we have that nice support as we come around for the first round of our circle. Thinking of those elliptical shapes, our full moon is rising. We're coming up on the weekend full moon. It might be on around Sunday sometime. So tracing that round curve of the moon as we go around, inhaling up, exhaling around and forward. Inhaling and exhaling. Nice way to ease into the low back. Good. And choosing one of your inhales to come up and stay up. Good. And let's take both feet into some comfortable seat. It could be still with legs outstretched. I bring mine in, whatever works. I'm going to draw myself, just fold forward any amount, hands, arms extended and hands come to the earth, wherever you land, and just get a forward fold in the thigh crease. And then walk the hands to one side. Get a little different stretch there. So nice, good. And then draw the hands back to center and over to the other side. Good, and then draw the hands to center. And coming back up. And now what I'd like to do is, let's think for just a minute. I could either do our bow and arrow seated, or we can do our crocodile twist. I think that we'll do a crocodile twist and we'll visit our bow and arrow next time. We already did a kind of a bow and arrow today. So let's come down onto our backs and enjoy that. Take the load off. That's one of my favorite lines from Raising Arizona, a movie with, I can't think of his name right now, but the movie Raising Arizona, this, there's a scene where someone comes over to visit and the first thing the person says is, hi, come take a load off. He offered the couch with his gesturing his hand. That's a nice thing to consider, right? So draw the knees to the chest, inhale. Good, and then you release the stretch, but not the knees. One hand on each knee is an option, or you can clasp hands over the knees if that's accessible. Draw the knees in on an inhale and exhale, let it go. One more, drawing it in. And let it go. And then now the feet gently find the floor. I let the knees rock side to side in a nice gentle windshield wiper. Starting small and then letting it open up gradually as the back warms and loosens. Good, and then letting the knees come to center. Good, and then here I'm going to extend my left leg, and then my right foot really gently, like a feather, is on top of the left knee, arms out wide in a T position. Yeah, and then rock, you use your piano fingers to push yourself, press yourself over to the left, any amount. And we come into our crocodile twist. We're not trying to get our knee all the way to the floor by any stretch, if you pardon the pun. And we just let our knee float out in the space wherever it goes. As long as the body is fairly comfortable and it's a welcome sensation in this new shape, you just breathe there. Couple more rounds of breath. Crocodile twist. Beautiful. And then draw back from the right kidney. You just sort of rock back to center. Let the right foot gently finds the floor, and you recenter on the mat. Let the right leg extend onto the floor. This time the left foot comes to rest really lightly onto the right knee. Arms in a T position, and you rock yourself with the help of your fingertips over toward the right this time, or whichever is your second side. And you breathe. It doesn't matter if you look like anyone else in the room. You just go where the stretch is interesting and sustainable. And breathe a couple rounds into that wherever you feel it. Good. So we've wrung out the washcloth and then we rock back to center. Yes, good. And now you can lengthen both legs onto the floor or let both knees be bent, feet on the floor for your Shavasana. And we'll just take a moment to let the body absorb all the benefits of the poses. And another option is for you to come roll onto your side and then have a seated Shavasana or meditation if you prefer that. And so for our meditation moment today, I thought we could just breathe in a beautiful color. You could imagine a lovely color. I'm going to let one hand rest on my chest and the other one on my belly. You can let your hands rest on your thighs if you like that, or on the floor if you're down on the floor. And then a friend today mentioned that beautiful color when you put a little bit of color at the bottom of some soda. When you get that sort of Sprite or ginger ale at a restaurant, they sometimes, what is that drink where you put a little bit of red grenadine, is it? Some kind of coloring in the bottom of the tall icy glass with a straw. You can imagine that sort of beautiful luminous color or any other color that you would like in the glass, or to look at, gaze inwardly at that beautiful color, whatever it is, and just breathing in and out. Letting the body absorb all the benefits of the poses we did today. And as we come to a finish almost, but not quite, we can give ourselves, you could give yourself another nice 15 minutes of Shavasana as we come in for a landing. So breathing still, looking in your mind's eye at that beautiful color. That summertime image. Breathing in. You can breathe in flowers and breathe out bubbles. And letting the jaws release. Feeling the center of your body, the the mass at the center of your body, maybe down near below the navel. Good. And letting yourself luxuriate on the floor in your Shavasana. And as we wrap up today, I'll just invite you to, on your next inhale, draw the hands away from yourself. Let the palms face up. Exhaling, palms together in front of the heart. And may we live like the lotus at home in muddy waters. Thank you for coming to class. It's so good to see you. Drink water, take care of yourself. And we'll see you same time, same place next time. Ciao, ciao.